Until just 90 years ago, Klallam families occupied this land. Here, they processed fish, built tools, raised their children, and buried their dead.
Since the beginning, when they built Port Angeles, they've known that we've had a cemetery down here.
We need to get all our ancestors out.
We're constantly told to speed it up. It's hard on the people.
We're doing a lot proactively to develop good relations with tribes. We don't want that to be lost because this one project is so difficult.
Welcome to my country. Welcome to my home.
Tribal workers and archaeologists are unburying the 1,700-year-old village of Chapuitzin and a cemetery that has yielded over 300 bodies so far. It is the place where the Washington State Department of Transportation is building a giant dry dock. The village is still remembered by today's tribal families.
The main part of Chapuitzin is where Port Angeles is sitting on. Hollywood Beach and all through Port Angeles. And as they were getting pushed, the further they had to go west because they were getting pushed out. As you go west, there was houses all along the edge. There was homes all along there. There was Indian homes. People were getting pushed out of the main Chapuitzin, Hollywood Beach and so forth. But there was a few people living in Hollywood Beach, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a few there then. But we weren't allowed to, mix around. In other words, Port Angeles was kind of dangerous to children especially after that incident.
Where the child was beaten to death with a 2x4.
We asked what happened to him and nobody told us. Several years later they were saying that you can't say anything because if you did say something, life would be more miserable for them.
The magnitude of the site is larger than what was initially anticipated.
Okay, so here we're looking at a map of a big house. We have staining of wood from the wooden planks. That looks to be when it was burned or whatever, it had fallen, and that's why they're kind of off-centered here.
They said that Governor Stevens outlawed longhouses, potlatches, because the Indians gave away everything that they had in the house and they became destitute. But it was because our ancestors stored their gifts into the house so nothing would happen to it. And so this one man defied the law and he had a potlatch. And immediately after he was through, he was put to jail in Olympia. After he came home, he moved his family to Port Gamble.
So here we had 2-3 burials. We had another couple more here, and then we had that one burial that Vicki was talking about earlier.
His head was exactly right here.
And all this time that the elders always told us that the cemetery was there. I always had the understanding when they talk about the cemetery that it was the largest cemetery, bigger than the one that's across the river and the one behind here by the ocean. The Indians always had this idea from the way my grandfather talked that if, you're married, your children grow up, they get married, they often move to a place there and start another little settlement of their own.
That's why the villages grew.
That's why villages grew. It was a case like that I understand that the person that had lived at Hollywood Beach and he never heard from his son and his family for I don't know how many days or weeks, and that was during the smallpox era, and he went up there to visit them and he found all 7 of them dead. I heard my older sister talk about that. She was told that they just wrapped them up in blankets and put them away because my father couldn't keep up making boxes for people that were, dying from the smallpox. My first thought was, for goodness sakes, I said, that's a cemetery. That's not just, you're not going to find a few bones. You're digging up a cemetery.
And late Sam Ulmer told us that we were going to be the ones to have to hand it down. But he used to tell us, you have to remember, you have to remember.
I think there was 4 total mills at one point that was on this 22.5 acres. I believe there was a kiln pretty much right in the center of this. There was a huge kiln. So we did find some human bone that where it was burnt on top.
When the mills came in, his son went to work and he came home and told his dad what was happening to the bodies. They were just digging up and throwing them over those pipes and stuff that they were putting in for the mill. He said they didn't care. You know, that's what hurt, you know, my people before me. And then to have this happen again, that's another deep hurt, because we know how hurt Sam Ulmer and the other people were. Why do they have to do it again? Enough is enough. When are they going to learn? When are they going to listen?
We have words of wisdom that was given to us today, that the project itself is going to be shut down.